So I am very thankful. I'm grateful that I get the opportunity to speak with you and to deliver a message when Pastor's not here, but Pastor's here to talk about being under the gun, under pressure, right? So we'll see what we can do. But I'm also very grateful and humbled even that throughout all of my messages that I've done so far, nobody's walked out on me and nobody's fallen asleep that I've noticed, which already makes you better than any of the college courses I ever taught. But we're all here for a purpose. I mean, even if our purpose is just, well, this is just what we do on Wednesday nights. That's true. And this is what I do on Wednesday nights too. So we're here on purpose. Unless, of course, you just accidentally wandered in which case, welcome. This is what we do on Wednesday nights. It's a funny thing, isn't it? Purpose. Purpose is our mission. I mean, it's what drives us. It lights the fire under us. It's something that gets us going, our purpose. And in the life coaching that I do, it's something that I hear a lot. People say, well, I don't even know what my purpose is. Most people believe that they're simply meant to exist, that is their purpose. When you exist, you're just on the hamster wheel of life, I guess. And I call it the vicious cycle of redundancy. And it's so easy to get sucked into this vicious cycle of redundancy. I'll show you how easy this is. Think of a day, let's think of a Monday. Any Monday in your life, last month, last year, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, it doesn't matter, just pick a Monday. And for most people, that Monday looks almost identical as the Monday 2 days ago. I mean, think about it. We woke up about the same time, and then we began our morning routine, which has never changed for us. And then we leave off for work. We work about half the day, and then we stop about halfway through our workday and have the same kind of lunch that we've been having for the past 2 years. We finish our workday, and then we drive home. The same route we've taken twice a day, every day of our lives so far. When we get home, the first thing we do when we walk into the house is the same thing we do every time we walk into the house. And then we settle in for supper. And after supper, we have our evening routine, which is typically the same. You watch the same shows, read the same books, do the same hobbies that you do night after night after night. When it comes time, and it's about the same time every time, we begin our bedtime routine, which, like our morning routine, is the same as it's always been. And while you're going through your bedtime routine, you start thinking about all the people that you talked to this past Monday, which happens to be the same people that you talked to 6 years ago. And sadly enough, you probably said the same thing to them 5 years ago that you did 2 days ago. And then we fall asleep. And when we wake up, we do it all again. That's not living with a purpose. That's the hamster wheel of life. That's the vicious cycle of redundancy that so many people get caught up in, and they lose sight of their purpose and their vision. See, God gave each of us a purpose. He gave each of us a mission. He gave each of us talents. And in Matthew, there is one of the parables who talks about the talents. There are 3 slaves. One slave receives 5 talents, another slave received 2 talents, and the final slave received 1 talent. Now the slave that received 5 talents used those 5 talents and received 5 more. The slave with 2 talents used those 2 talents and received 2 more. See, if you give, it will always come back to you. It always will. Nobody ever went bankrupt from giving, but many people have gone bankrupt from trying to keep, like the first slave, the slave who received 1 talent. The slave with 1 talent tried to hide it. He tried to bury it. And do you remember this parable? Do you remember the master's response? Get out of my house. Get out. I'm going to find somebody who wants to use that talent. See, he gave each of us a talent. Everybody has talents. Now, we receive different amounts of talents, and we surely receive different talents of different amounts, but 1 talent isn't any less important than any of the others, just like our purpose, just like our mission. God gave each of us a purpose. There isn't a single person, not one person in this room, not one person in the village, not one person in the country, in the entire planet. There is not one person who was given this life for the purpose of simply existing. We all have a purpose. Purpose, it's a funny thing. A purpose always starts with an intention. See, intentions are those little building blocks that will ultimately become our purpose or our mission. Now, we can have micro intentions, our daily, small daily intentions, or we can have larger macro intentions, our life intentions for our life purpose. See, intentions are like goals. They're not goals, they're different than goals, but they're like goals in that they are concerned with an outcome or an objective of some sort. So maybe an intention for a day would be, what do you want to accomplish today? How do you want to feel today? What language will you use today? What actions will you take today? Those are your intentions. And let's say for a moment my intention for the day is to be happy, which happens to be the intention I have for most days. That means I am purposefully going to go through my day guiding myself to everything that makes me happy. I am purposefully going to avoid all of those places and all of those people and all of those things that make me unhappy. I don't want that. I want happy. And by avoiding all of those people and places and things that make me unhappy, I will accidentally, almost innocently, find myself in all of the places and with all of the people that make me happy. That's how I ended up here tonight. See, it's so simple. And with my clients, there are different things I have to work through, different things we have to do to create positive, lasting change. But really, this is it. That's how simple it is to dictate how your day will go. If you live with intent, you will live with purpose. Now, there are two terms I keep bringing up, and you probably gathered them in already, and if not, I'm going to tell them to you anyway, and that is purposefully and intent. And these two terms coexist, and they rely on each other for what they do. Let me show you how this works. See, if we do something on purpose, we do it with intent, with an outcome or an objective in mind. And if we're doing things with intent, we're living with purpose. Let me give this to you again because it is so powerful. If we do things on purpose, we're doing them with intent. And if we do things with intent, we live with purpose. Now, the great thing about this, or the sad thing about this, depending on how you want to look at it, is it works the same backwards. It's just like a great math equation, and we all love math. If you know your purpose, you will do things with intent for the outcome for that purpose. And by doing things with intent about an outcome, you will begin to do things on purpose. So it works both ways. Now, in Matthew, we're given a second parable. Now, Matthew has a lot of parables in it, and so this is the one we're going to concern ourselves with. Now, this is the same one from the gospel reading, our 10 virgins. So I'm not going to give you the whole story because you just heard it. But I'm going to skim through, sort of give you the highlights, and then we're going to figure out what's going on here. We have 10 virgins, 5 wise virgins and 5 foolish virgins. And they are all off to meet the bridegroom. Now, the bridegroom has been delayed. We don't know what's holding him up, but he's held up. So our virgins have to wait. And while they wait, they sleep. And then there's a call that comes out. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The bridegroom is here, let's go. And it's the foolish virgins who say, hey, we need some oil. Can we use some of yours? And the wise virgins say, well, yeah, but if we give you some of our oil, we're not going to have enough. Nobody's going to have enough oil. But the stores are still open. Just go down and get some. And that's what they did. Off to the merchants they go to get some oil. In the meantime, our wise virgins go off. They meet with the bridegroom. They go inside. The door is shut. By the time our foolish virgins get their oil and make it to the bridegroom, they find the door shut, but they knock anyway. When the door is opened, the response they receive is, I don't know you. Go away. And the door is shut. That's the parable. Now, with this parable, there are a number of people who will dissect this thing so many different ways. They give representation and symbolism to everything in the parable. You know, the lamp means this, and the light represents this, and the oil symbolizes this. And these 5 virgins are this, and these 5 virgins are this, and the merchants represent this, and the house is this, and the bridegroom is this. And I say, stop! You're killing me. See, anytime you overanalyze something, you end up in an analysis vacuum. And from an analysis vacuum, you cannot possibly see the point that is right in front of your face. It's like an overthinker. We all know overthinkers, and maybe we're overthinkers. If you take an overthinker, you give them a simple question, it's yes or no. But an overthinker will think of every possible outcome from both of those answers. And they'll think of every possible pathway to every outcome, and every tangent to every pathway to every outcome. By the time they've worked through all of this, they've decided and undecided and changed their mind. They forgot what the initial question was. Don't do that. It's not that difficult. We're going to dissect a little bit of this parable, but we're only going 2 layers deep on this onion because I believe that's all the further we need to go. It's not that difficult. When we look at the parable and what it represents, we know what it represents. The bridegroom is Christ. Christ is coming. Some of us are going with him. Some of us are not. That's all there is to it. And Matthew tells us that at the very end of the parable. We don't know the hour, we don't know the day, but be watchful and be ready. Now, those are tricky things, to be watchful and ready, because we are here. And we believe, I think, that we are watchful and that we are ready. Now, as much as I believe that I'm ready for that hour, honestly, if Jesus poked his head in that door right now and said, "Psst, psst, Kelly, come on, it's time to go. Come on, come on. No, leave your stuff. You're not going to need it. It's time to go." I don't know how I would respond, because I believe that I'm ready. I really do. But at the same time, I got work that needs done. I mean, there's more to this. I still have stuff I got to do. We are all here on purpose. And if you guys are like me, I'm not here because I think that I'm perfect. I'm here because I know that I'm not. But God's not necessarily looking for perfect. So what is God looking for? And maybe that's a question in itself that is going to help us along in this parable and understanding what's going on. Now, there are 2 things in this parable that I am going to give symbolism to, and I'll tell you why. It's the lamp and the light. And the reason I'm picking these to represent something is because when we look at our parable and our 10 virgins, all 10 of them have a lamp, but only 5 of them have light. That's the thing that's different between the groups. 5 of them have light, but they all have the lamp, and they all have a purpose: to meet the bridegroom. Now, when we think about our virgins, they all have the same purpose. 5 of them understand that purpose, and they do things intentionally to meet that purpose. Therefore, that means that they are doing things on purpose to intentionally meet that purpose. 5 of our virgins have the same purpose, and they know what the purpose is. They know they're going to meet the bridegroom. But whether or not they fully understand what that means and what that entails, I don't know, because they don't do anything intentionally to meet that purpose. And they certainly are not doing anything on purpose to intentionally, for the outcome, meet that purpose. And so back to our lamps and our lights. When we try to figure out what these 2 things mean, when we go through Scripture, we can find literally hundreds of references to lamp and light. And I picked 3 that I think are going to be progressive to where we need to go. The first one is from Psalm 18. "You, Lord, keep my lamp burning." So the Lord is what keeps the lamp burning. And then later in Psalms, and I can't tell you the chapter or the verse because you're looking at the same sermon notes that I am. I did have it, but it's gone now. I could find the verse and chapter for you. But it's later in Psalms, and the verse is, "The word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path." So the word, it keeps my lamp burning, but it's the word that is the lamp and the light? So I'm not sure where this is going. But then later we get to Proverbs. And again, chapter and verse is gone. In Proverbs, we find something that I think is really important to us. This is where the rubber hits the road. The commandment is the lamp, The teaching is the light. Right here, it separates us. The lamp is this, the light is this. It's the commandment and the teaching. And now, again, if you're like me, you're thinking, well, I went through confirmation 80 billion years ago when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. When I was in confirmation, they drilled the commandments into us. They drilled it, forced us to memorize it, and then we had to regurgitate it in front of the pastor the following week so that we could get a check mark in that box and then be confirmed. Wasn't that being taught? I mean, that's the teaching, right? The commandment is the teaching. I don't think so. Herein, I think, lies the difference between knowledge and wisdom. See, knowledge is knowing something, but wisdom is knowing what to do with it. Knowledge is a tool. And tools are great, but if you don't know how to use the tool and you don't use the tool is still just a tool. It doesn't do you any good. The commandment is a tool. The knowledge. And the knowledge is great to have. But if we don't know what to do with this knowledge, if we don't know how to use it and we don't use it, that knowledge isn't going to do us any good. The lamp. The lamp is just a tool. And if we don't know how to use the tool and we choose not to use the tool, that tool, the lamp, isn't going to give us light. You see the connection here? That's the lamp and the light. We all have the lamp. We all have the knowledge. We don't all have the wisdom. We don't all have the teaching. See, when we were in confirmation those many, many years ago, we were what, 14, 15, 16? Think about when you were that age. They taught us the commandment, and then they didn't tell us how to use that in our life. They gave us an overarching general life rule about what that commandment means. But to a 15-year-old, an overarching general life rule means nothing. Tell me how I can use this in my life right now, in my 15-year-old life, and we do the same thing today. The commandment, I have the knowledge, but do I have the wisdom? Somebody tell me how to use this in my life right now, today, so I can make a difference. And right now, this is the point in my messages where you're going, okay, Kelly, I got it. I got it. I understand what you're telling me. Now tell me what to do with it. What am I supposed to do with all of this? Okay, so I gave you some knowledge, I hope. And now, hopefully, I'm going to give you some wisdom. And it's all going to tie back around. You remember a few messages ago, it's been a little bit, but we talked about the godly attributes. We are created in His image, and by His image, I don't mean His image, I mean His image. Our core, our essence, our true being is those godly attributes: love, kindness, generosity, compassion, and faithfulness. When we are born, when we are created, we possess all of those attributes. But as we grow and develop, society starts piling stuff up on us, and those godly attributes get buried somewhere in there. Now, they're in there, but they're buried underneath all this garbage and rubble and stuff that has been piled on us all this time. But when you think of those attributes, love, kindness, compassion, generosity, faithfulness, and now think of your 10 commandments, if you live intentionally with love, kindness, compassion, generosity, and faithfulness, don't you pretty much take care of all of the commandments? And so this is the easy one. All of the thou shalts and thou shalt nots, that's sometimes hard to process for people. But love, we all know how to live with love, and kindness and compassion and generosity and faithfulness. Those are the things that are going to make the difference. Now, I have homework for you. Oh, homework. This is due in the church office at noon tomorrow. Not kidding, it's not due at noon. Don't turn anything into the office because Christine will call me and she'll be like, Kelly, what did you do now? So don't turn anything in, but it's homework. I want you to do this. I truly want you to do this. If you do this for 1 week, your life will change. I promise you. And people are going to notice it. It's that profound. Now, because I'm giving you something new, I understand that I'm asking you to step off of your hamster wheel for a little bit. Just for a week, that's all. And honestly, it only takes 2 minutes out of your day. It's that easy, but it takes a little bit of work too. So for 5 days, or for a week, if you can't do a week, if that makes you too uncomfortable, Try for 2 or 3 days. For a week, every morning, the first 5-10 minutes of your day, you're going to have a sheet of paper, and at the top of the sheet of paper, it's going to say intentions. And have a pencil handy. You don't want to have to think about stuff. You want the paper, you want the pencil, you want to be able to do it right now. It's quick. Underneath intentions, and then write Thursday, you're going to list 5 intentions for tomorrow. Start this tomorrow morning. 5 intentions for the day. Maybe it's something you want to accomplish. Maybe you need to clean the gutters or mow the yard. Maybe you've got to rake the yard or help the neighbor put up a fence. Maybe you've got to do something like that. Maybe you need to wash the car, make an oil change appointment, something. Maybe it's something you want to accomplish. Maybe it's how you want to feel during the day. Maybe you want to feel happy during the day. Make that an intention. Maybe, just maybe, throw in a godly attribute. Today, I'm going to be generous every chance that I get. Today, I'm going to show love and kindness to everybody I meet, especially Grumpy Gertrude at the office, because she needs the love and kindness that nobody else is showing her. Maybe it's to meet a new person tomorrow throughout your path. Take the same path that you always do, but throw in a wrinkle. Meet somebody new. There are a number of things you can intend to do tomorrow. And now, here's where the purpose, the on-purpose part comes. So you've given yourself the intention. Now you're going to do the on-purpose part. So for each of your 5 intentions, I want you to write down 2 things very specifically that you can do to meet that intention. So for example, if your intention is to be generous every chance you get, I'm going to pay it forward at the coffee shop on my way to work. I'm going to buy somebody lunch. Maybe start with something like that. There are a number of things that you can choose. Things that you would normally do in your life, but you don't think about it because you're not doing it on purpose, because you don't have an intention. You have to write down the intention, and you have to write down the ways that you're going to do it. Now, the hard part comes in, because as you go through your day, you have to do things on purpose in order to meet that intention, in order to start to live with purpose. Now, some people that I have do this, they find it very beneficial to do their intentions last thing at night before they go to bed, because they say they sleep so much better knowing exactly how tomorrow is going to go. So maybe that's something that works for you too. So now you've got the knowledge and you've got the wisdom. Now it just takes you to do things on purpose, with intention, with an outcome, to live with purpose. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you. Thank you for all that you have given us. Thank you for all of our blessings, all of our talents, our missions, our purposes. Thank you for giving us the ability to see those through. It is for you that we work, and it makes everybody better. Watch over us, protect us in the coming days, weeks. Keep us safe. And all God's people said,